Okay, so today, first and foremost, on behalf of the organizing committee of this sharing session, I would like to thank you to all of you for taking the time and effort to attend this sharing session today. So for your information, this sharing session is another initiative by the FTMK Web e-learning committee to disseminate and share information and knowledge with regards to issues relating to e-learning FTMK, especially on the use of online learning and e-learning technology and applications like Ulearn. So we had our first series in March 2020. So this is the continuation of our series of sharing sessions. So it's hoped that this session will be of benefit of you. So to ensure that our session today is blessed by the Almighty, for my fellow friends, let us open our session today by reciting the Kitab Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha. Okay. So to ensure that, we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Zulisban Maksum, Director of PSTP, to share us the latest info and knowledge with regards to online learning, with emphasis on Ulearn, which is UTEM's online learning platform. While most of us have been using for quite some time now, the recent COVID-19 pandemic has given more spot and emphasis on the use of online learning methods and applications. So most of us have noticed the new UI or user interface for Ulearn that has been introduced this semester. Okay, while some of us have little problems navigating and using Ulearn, others may have some difficulties in adjusting. Furthermore, some of us may be curious to know more on the implementation of online learning and online assessments using Ulearn for this semester. And maybe some of us have questions that we would like to pose to Dr. Zulisban, like what are the best practices in implementing online assessment and etc. So I believe these are some of the issues that will be discussed and addressed by Dr. Zulisban in today's session. So for those that wish to ask questions, you may key in your questions in the chat section starting from now, and we will have a short Q&A session after his presentation where I will present the questions to Dr. Zulisban for him to answer. Okay, so without further ado, I invite and pass it to our PSTP Director, Dr. Zulisban Maksum, for his presentation. Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Yang berbahagia TS Dr. Muhammad Fairuz Iskandar. Good morning, everyone. We are very fortunate this morning because we are able to meet again for my second sharing session. Especially how actually we're going to overcome our anxieties in in delivering online learning. And I know that a lot of us actually being quite anxious to see and to know why actually the UI of our Ulearn has been changed recently, quite drastically actually. So before I begin into sharing the how actually the look and feel and how we're going to use the Ulearn more effectively, let me give a bit of justifications on why actually the user experience has been changed. Now, if everybody realize, actually now we divided the Ulearn into three sections, as everybody know. And the section is divided based on different servers that we set up. This is actually based on our benchmarking that we have done with other universities, especially with UPM, USM, and UTM. And as everybody know, we had considered as a major glitch last semester, which is, I remember, on Monday, when our Ulearn actually having a breakdown, and we are unable to rectify as soon as possible, and it took almost 2 days to rectify the issues. So due to that, what we do actually in at PSTP is to overhaul a bit of our ULearn and giving it a bit of what we call it a refreshed. And ULearn is not going to just become our LMS, but it's going to be part of our U-Learning Hub. PSTP is going to launch a new learning hub. We call it U-Learning Hub very soon, hopefully before end of this year, where actually we'll be able to see all our online resources, whether it's in academic, whether it's a professional certifications, and whether it's going to be HRD online courses or short courses and micro credential in one hub. Hopefully we'll be able to share with you very soon. But today specifically, we are going to look at the changes that we made into ULearn and how we're going to work around it. Now, at the moment, we also try to look at single sign-on. At the moment, we still unable to find the best way of how we're going to have a single dashboard for the three server that we already split it into three categories. All the courses which belong to PPB and IPTK will be in the cluster of language and humanity. And for the engineering and engineering technology courses will be located in the other clusters such as the FTKE, FTKMP, FKEKK, FKE, FKM, and for the non-engineering courses from FTMK and FPTT is inside the information technology and technology management. So this is going to be our new way of how we're going to access our ULearn. But along the way, we're going to improve the other aspects such as single sign-on again, we are usually familiar with previously. Okay, let me share the browser. You of how the browser looks like. Can anyone see? Dr. Virus, can you see this one? Boleh?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now this is basically the ULearn, the new ULearn. Actually, it's not a new ULearn. It's just the experience that we change a bit, and we change the theme for this particular ULearn. The previous one, the previous ULearn, we using session or we call it section type of a theme. This year we changed the section theme to become tiles theme. Now, the other justification why we changed this from section to tiles is actually, after the first meeting that we had, what we call the contingency meeting after the ULearn breakdown, we found out that actually, there is a certain courses or certain cost page that actually consists a lot of resources, and it takes up a lot of bandwidth to be open. And we also need to be considered some of our unfortunate students who probably will have limited access to the ULearn. So by having this type of theme, we try to reduce the loading time for each of the page. So that's why we're creating the page to look like this. And at the moment also, we are trying to create another set of ULearn as our mirror. So in case if the server for these three ULearn is break down at any time, so you will be directed to another set of ULearn. But we are still working on it, so hopefully we will not having any major problems in the future. Right, now let we go deep in the ULearn. As you can see from the UI, this is for this semester 1 2020 and 2021, but we still have your archive which you can access from your previous semesters, such as your 2019 and 2020, 2018 and 2019. All the resources from your previous ULearn still can be accessed through this page. Now, we go in you will be presented with your login page, and your login page is just like a normal ULearn that previously you see. Now, before you login in, you also we give you a side announcement. In case if you want to connect your uh, LMS for your desktop LMS to your smart devices such as your mobile phone or your tablet. So this is the step that you can take into if you want to add in. All right, so now the login page is just on top right of the page, right? So you just log in. And now at the moment we have two type of login. One is we using the 365 login, and the other one actually we are using a non 365 login, which is the Google account. That is for a specific students and specific lecturers who are actually not full who actually are not belong to UTEM, such as the co lecturers, co-curriculum lecturers from outside. So they will not going to log in using UTEM login. But for us, as lecturers who are permanently UTEM staff, so your login system is just a normal UTEM login, just like a normal one, and exactly with this. Now, once you login in, so you are logging in into what we call it a dashboard, a basic simple dashboard that actually you will have your list of your courses that that you're going to teach, or any course page that you enroll into. And at the same time, you are also being given any upcoming event, which actually you will be able to see here. For example, like if you have a due date to mark your assignment, it will come out here. And this is also will be shown in the student's desktop. So the student will be able to see, whether they are missing any quizzes or assignment submissions or any assessment that you set in your ULearn. Now let's look at the interface a bit. Now the interface is exactly the same as previously. You have on your left, you have the main menu of your navigation, your clock and your calendars. Your calendars actually is telling you about any events that you set on your ULearn based on the times given into your activities or whatever it is in your ULearn. Now, the clock server and your server, there's a differences between that. If you have, then you can adjust where between the server and your clock server, you can adjust there. Now we have the menu, just like a normal menu, your home menu. You go back to the home menu, you go to your dashboard, just go to your own dashboard like here. There's a event menu, which is your calendar. And that is all your courses. Also, you can access all your list of your courses that you have from this menu, beside of the one in here. Now, the courses menu is actually where you requesting for other courses. You want to search for other courses, so you will be able to use courses menu. The staff menu is actually for you to request any courses that probably you want. We also provide you the user manual from here, and also your ULearn archive also can be accessed through here. So this is all the basic menu. Now, in here, beside of your login name, you will have this small arrow, which actually this is where you will be able to access other function which is similar from the menu, and also another function which is if you want to switch your role to to view from other perspectives, such as you want to switch your role to students, because you want to see how the students going to see your course page, so you can do the switching from here. So that is a simple thing. Now go back to your courses. So what we instead of using sections, we are creating tiles. So each of these tile actually is collapsible tile, where you will be able to see each of these section, whichever you try to fill in. For example, like in here in my courses, I have all these. Now, as usual, when we talking about when we talking about online learning, the first thing that we need to do is now the difference between this semester and the second semester previously is that the second semester previously we considered the delivery of our courses is blended because of you have 5 weeks at the beginning of February until March 16, which is week 5, you are doing face to face. Now, for this semester, semester 1, October intake, we are very unfortunate because we are unable to meet with the student. So basically, we are declaring that this semester, the semester 1 is fully online. That's why if you look at here, there's a question from some of the lecturers blended status is. Usually the blended status will be on your left side here on your page. But at the moment, I'm deactivating this blended status because of I don't want all the lecturers to misunderstood or misunderstand about what is the functions of the blended. Now, the difference, as everybody know, blended and fully online learning is different. When you are blended, mean actually you are combining the online delivery learning plus face-to-face. But for this October, we do not have a privilege to meet with the student. That's why we are deactivating the blended status. Now, it doesn't mean that actually the blended status is not counted. It is hidden within the system itself. We just didn't show it because of PSTP don't want the lecturers having this understanding that once they achieving their blended status, they will stop from using the ULearn or stop from developing or curating or creating the content in ULearn. Now, for this semester, which is semester 1, the expectations actually from all the lecturers is for you to fill in every single section of this week because of you don't have choice choose which topic or which weeks that actually you want to fill in. Basically, for semester 1, we are fully online. It means that if you have 14 weeks or 14 topic or 14 session, you need to fill in every single tiles with all the resources required. Okay, that is the difference between you are conducting your class fully online and you are conducting your class in a blended mode, right? So I hope that will give an understanding to all the lecturers that you do not have a privilege to choose any of this style to fill in, but you must fill in every single uh, tiles because of every single tile representing your session or your week or your topic is whatever you want to call it. Now, I also found out that there is also a lecturers that actually changing the style to suit their own or to customize based on their requirement. Now, I didn't say you cannot do that, but the problem is if you start changing the tiles to something that you feel it's fit you, but it does not fit into the requirement of the online delivery, then it will be very difficult for PSTP to justify that you are actually delivering your online content right properly. I found out that actually there's some lectures actually changing topic 1 or week 1 to become lecture note, so they uploading all the lecture note in one section, and then after that in the introduction session they just make a link to the Microsoft team and they hidden all the other topics. Now, if we're talking about the way how we are delivering the online content, that is probably not the proper instructional design. Okay, that is not the correct instructional design. Now, when we are developing or we curating and creating content in ULearn, you should not think about how you want it, but you should think of how the student should be able to access to your content following a proper structure easily. That is more important. If you are actually using your own perception on how you're going to use this you learn, then your student might do not understand. Now, let me look at each of the tile. For the general info tile, this is actually the tile that you need to spell out your learning outcome, which actually you can get it from your teaching plan. And you must give an explanation to the student if you have a chance to do so. Now, the other part on the general info that you need to add in is actually your course synopsis, because of this is very important. Now, once you not be able to meet with the student personally face to face, you need to have this spelled out properly. So the student will need to read. Later on, we're going to be able to see how actually we can create this type of information. The second part of style is basically about you can change the name from who am I to whatever you want to introduce yourself. But because of you might not have privilege to meet with the students, then this is actually the tiles that you need to really fill in based on how you feel who you are and how you want your student to know about you. This is very important. Give a bit of photo of you, because of if you are teaching the first year student, probably they do not know who you are. Now, in online learning, even though this is considered is a very simple small element, but it bring a big impact into the student perception regarding about who you are, and you will be able to give them a background or a brief background about you know who you are, what qualifications you have, and you probably also will be able to do is to give a contact number to the student here, whether your WhatsApp, whether your Telegram, or whether your email. So this is actually part of an essential elements that you need to add in. It looks very simple, it looks not important, but when it comes to online learning, this is very essential element that you need to fill in. Please do not think that this is an easy step that you can bypass, but I hope that everybody will start putting your biography or any description about you, so the student will be able to see you. Now, in this part also, actually, you will be able to customize. Probably you also do not know who your student is. So you will be able to customize this part by adding probably an extension, because you want to know who your student are. For example, like in my page here, for this particular courses, I let my student to write or to tell about themselves using Padlet. So I'll I'm introducing myself here. Now, at the moment, I do not have my student because of I'm teaching a modular courses, and these courses only started uh, on week 7. So there is no student yet. Okay, but this is actually the way that actually we try to interact with the student online, and this Padlet actually is the best also platform that you can embed it into your ulearn, and you will be able to discuss, or student will be able to give an idea, student will be able to share their knowledge, you will be able to exchange your knowledge with them. This is probably the best way of how actually we are. If you do not want the student to have your WhatsApp or your Telegram number. And having this actually in this particular section, we know that the student at any time, if they want to know or they want to give suggestion, then they know this is where actually the place is going to be, right? Now, the third tile actually is your teaching plan. This is a standard teaching plan, and the best way is actually to upload your teaching plan in a PDF format, and you can have your teaching plan for the student to be able to read and to double check what is the next lesson that they're going to undertake. Now, once we become an online learning, when we delivering the content online, everybody should understand that the responsibility of online learning need to be given back to the student. Our role actually is as a facilitators in this process. So it means that the process of online learning must go through what we call it flipped learning. Flipped learning must happen before the actual of your timetable start, during the timetable, and after the timetable. So it means that all the materials of your online learning, online content, must be uploaded at least 1 week prior to your class. I found out that actually there is a certain lecturers who are actually uploading their content 1 week after the class happened. That is wrong. If you are conducting your class online, all the online resources must be uploaded at least 1 week before your class start. That is the proper. Then the student will be able to learn before the class commence. Now, during the class, for example, if you are following your classes, let's say your class timetable is 9 to 10 on Monday, then on Monday 9 to 10, that is the day actually you will be able to facilitate the student to any topic or any discussion that probably the student do not understand. Then after that, once you finish with your session of your timetable, then after the class, student should be able to what we call it create an activity through assignment or class activities that you set in your ULearn, so that at least after your class they have some homework that they can do. So this is basically the normal what we call it practices, right? I'm not talking about an advanced practices here. I'm just talking about a basic requirement for online learning. Okay. Now the other actually is group. Okay, this is a group. Now working with a group choice is another option, which is you can control your classes much efficient. Using a group choice, you will be able to split your student into a different group. For example, if you are teaching students from different program or different section, then you set them into different program and different section. So any materials or any activity or any assessment that you want to conduct, you will be able to set the priority to that specific group. So the other group will not be able to participate in those activity. So group is actually the best. The student will be able to choose two. So it looks like this once you set. So the only thing that the student need to do is just to choose which group actually they belong to, and they must save the choice. So once you do that, the content will be customized to that particular group of student. Now, this is very useful if you think you want to use one course page for 4 or 5 lecturers, or even if you want to be as an individual lecturers, but you teach different section and different group of the student. So later on, we're going to look at each of these part. Now, the book and resources tile should not be left empty. I believe you have a lot of books and resources, which is in the form of ebooks, and this is the best actually that you allow the student to access to online books that you have in your collection. Make sure that it should not get the book available for the student, because of we should not encourage the student to read our PowerPoint note as part of their lecture note. Actually, that is wrong. Books is actually the one that provide a comprehensive note for the student to read, especially when the faculty probably later on decided to have an open book exam, where actually the student required to have more resources to be as a references. So not relying solely on your PowerPoint note, then books and resources must be added into this tile, right? So don't, as much as you can, do not leave it empty, because once you leave it empty, then it looks like that there is no books at all for these particular courses, which is not that right. It's impossible. You don't have books. So make sure that books and resources. The resources can be also from hyperlink. Probably you have a website, you have Wikipedia, you have Wikimedia that you know that you can link because of it's quite resourceful for the student. So you can add it here. So this tile actually is being designed just exactly the same like the session from the previous you learned, except it is in the form of tiles. So you should fill in this following the requirement of your courses. Now, I know that there's a lot of lecturers actually leave certain tiles empty, and sometimes I do wonder why it's empty, because of once it become online, you need to give as much as resources and references to the student for them to use for their online learning. Now, another area that I know there's some lecturers actually bypass this tile and they put all the assessment, for example, like the midterm, the quizzes within the topic tiles. Actually, when PSTP is designing the tiles to look like this, is because of we want to make sure that the user experience and also the the reka bentuk instruksinya betul itu di mana all the formative and summative assessment if you have any need to be put here, so it will be very easy for the student to go to. If you start putting all your assessments, such as your quiz in week 7, your midterm in week 8, the student will have to open the tile on each of the section to look after where actually your assessment is. That's why we embedded the tiles for the assessment. This assessment tiles supposed not to be left empty. You need to have quiz. You need to have quiz 1. You need to have quiz 2. You need to have assignment 1. You need to have assignment 2. You need to have midterms. You need to have final project. All the assessment which is in the form of formative or summative, which actually you are grading the student, need to be in this style. I saw a lot of a lot of lecturers didn't do that, and they bypass this part of the assessment. Now, we always have to think like this. I know in your teaching plan, you are already stated when actually your assessment is going to happen. Some of the lecturers, they stated in the teaching plan that the quiz is going to be week 4. So they start adding the quiz on tile week 4. No, the problem is when you do that in your physical face-to-face, you don't have any problem. But this one is online. So we want to make sure that all the instructional design, the user experience of the student can be constructed in a proper manner. So if for you yourself, managing actually all your assessment in one single tiles like this will be much easier rather than you are looking for each of the tiles. So that's why I encourage and I also want everybody to start use the assessment tile for you to add, to upload all your assessment here. It will be very easy for you to manage. And it's also very easy for the student to find where actually all the assessment that you have set. Okay. Now, the other one is actually topic 1. This is the tile that actually we created until week 14. I know that some of the courses does not have week 14, but remember this. The lectures actually, if you follow the MQA, you must have 14 week full of lectures. Kepada mereka-mereka, to whoever yang tak ada lecture dia tak cukup 14 minggu, maksudnya your perception of your COPA document is already wrong. Kalau kita tengok dalam dokumen requirement kita adalah 14 minggu itu adalah solid lectures. So sepatutnya you ada 14 minggu topik. So you should have that. Now, when we decided to have each of the topic in a different tiles, because we also want to manage all the online content easy for the student to access and also for us to manage. I saw there is a learning and web course page of each of the lecturer, you'll find actually there's a lecturer who actually they put all the lecture note in topic 1, and the lecture note is actually only a PowerPoint note. There is nothing else. Now, there is a perception that actually some lecturers here believe that the lecture note is meant for the student to read and for them to prepare for the exam. I hope that perception must be removed from our mindset at this stage. You need a transformational mind process. The online learning is not as easy and is not similar with face to face. Now, this is the process that you need to understand. When you start curating and creating a content through online, you cannot take apples and then you convert it to become an apple. What you need to do is from apple, you need to convert it to become an orange. It means that you cannot simply just uploading your PowerPoint notes without any other additional instruction to the student. Now, when I check from some of the course pages, there is a lecture note from PowerPoint that actually does not give any clue to the student what actually the student need to learn from it. For example, in the lecture note in the PowerPoint, in one single page, this particular lecturer give an image. There is no description of an image. So we expect the student to understand the image that we presented to them without any additional instruction to it. That is basically wrong. So what you need to do is from the apples you need to convert to become an orange. That is the process that actually today I'm going to show you how you're going to convert it easily, but at least you meet up with the minimum requirement of how you're going to conduct online learning. Okay, so now even though this is a topic 1, right? So each of the session of topic 1 is already in these particular tiles. It completed with the learning outcome. As I mentioned earlier, when you start delivering your teaching through online, you need to develop your weekly learning outcome or each topic learning outcome. You cannot neglect those. Even though in UTEM, we never been asked to develop our learning outcome for weekly learning outcome or topic learning outcome. But once you become online, when the courses need to be conducted through online, the learning outcome need to be developed. Now, why we need to develop the weekly learning outcome? Because we want to capture what exactly you want the student to achieve, what outcome actually you want to achieve, what output you want the student to be able to present it to you. So in these particular tiles, right, this is I have the learning outcome which the student need to read, and I also can add a completion activity into this tile. Once the student read, I know that the student read this particular learning outcome. Now you have the lecture note. This lecture note is not a PowerPoint note, right? My PowerPoint note is in here. Now if you look at on my PowerPoint note, it does not provide anything because of PowerPoint note is just a point where actually we use for the lectures. We use this one to teach the student, and some of them is just in a normal point. And actually, if the student read this PowerPoint note, they will not be able to understand basically the whole topic of that particular session. So it is wrong for us to upload this PowerPoint note without anything inside. So that's why you need an additional notes that you can embed in. So this additional note can be in a form of text based, a short description of that particular topics, explanation of certain element with the hyperlinks, and you if the student want to read more about this particular topic, different or outside link. For example, like me, I'm not creating my own notes, but I'm using Wikipedia as my resources to create note, because of that is where actually the resources coming in. So by doing that, so the student will be able to more than what it needs to be, so they can read more. That is the most important part in that particular topic, right? So you have the note, you have what we call it a comprehensive note in the form of pages here. So you don't see the note here, but the student need to click and then you will see. Now, remember when, when I told you there is a three type of learner you need to cover. The student who actually uh, they like to see visual, they like to watch video, they like to see images when they want to learn. So we also need to cater for that. We also have an auditory student, so we have those, and we have the kinesthetic student. Now the other things is actually you can also need to link the video. So the video can be a video that you created yourself while you are sitting in front of the camera like this, and you can pre-recorded your lectures and you can upload your video in YouTube and make it private, and then you can link it into your YouTube account into this page. Now, for example, like me, I don't create my own video. To watch is actually a case video from the YouTube. Us from YouTube, whether it's from Vimeo, or whether it's from other resources of the video. So I'm giving a student a video to watch because of it is an interesting topic, which I believe it's very close related to this topic one, which is about ethics. Now, the third resources that I also included in my lecture session is actually the my PowerPoint. Even though the student will not be able to understand what I'm saying, through my PowerPoint, but I'm still embedding in it, then the student will make it as a reference for their short note. It's not meant for them to to read and for them to bring in this into the final exam. Now, because of it's a master's courses, so they don't have lab session, but we do have tutorial. So I'm giving a student an activity for them to do at home after the class. This is very important because we want to capture the student understanding about this particular topic. So that's why I have this class activity that I want to submit. So in this, I ask the student to watch for the video from the presenter, and I want them to make a bit of summary and justifying a bit about the topics that they discussing on and what's the so that is I want to capture the student understanding. At the same time, I'm using this class activity is not for the assessment. This is for the student understanding only. This is for this. I want to capture the student participation in this particular session of the class, online classes. That's why I don't mark this assessment, but I ask the student to submit and I'm giving a feedback from the student. Now, the other element actually that I always embedded into my session of my learning in this topic one is discussion with the student, because of there is a certain topic that I want the student to discuss among them and between me as a lecturers. So this is the best place for me to make a discussion with them. So if you look at overall of this particular course, only in this particular topic one, or we call it week one, I already have a comprehensive of basic, what we call it, requirement for how we're going to deliver and curate our online content. Now, if you look at one things that I want to show later on towards the end, Dr. Adili, our new Ketua Bahagian, already came out with we call it algorithm, came out with tools that actually we will be able to monitor the lecturer's content. So now probably by probably a few weeks from now, or based on the requirement of the NCA, because the NCA is already asked us to to develop how actually monitor the content of the ULearn. for each of the lecturers, whether actually they fill in the minimum requirement of the content. For me, this is the minimum requirement of the content. Okay, you have the learning outcome, you have the comprehensive notes that you provided with the student, so the student will be able to read this note, whether it's from external link, whether it's from your textbook, whether it's from your own philosophical thought. So I have this comprehensive note. At the same time, I also provided the student with videos which I take out from external resources, which I believe is very useful for the student to learn. Or even you can add your audio or your video which you pre-recorded and you uploaded for the student to watch. And I also provided the student with my basic requirement when I'm teaching them face-to-face, which is my PowerPoint note. Now, to capture this particular session, whether the student understand or not, I giving them another two activities, which is the class activity. So at least I will be able to capture whether the student understand or not. I giving them assignment, I giving them homework. And the other one is I allow my student to open for a discussion for this particular session. So this is considered as one minimum requirement. There is a lot of other lecturers who are actually adding more element in. For example, like TS Dr. Nurul Mahfuza, for example. TS Dr. Nurul Mahfuza, Encik Ahmad Sharizan, they love to create their own content. So they're adding more content into one session. For example, like pre-recorded PowerPoint notes using audio. They're adding gamification, such as they're adding certain apps that the student can download, where the student can learn from the apps and so on. So in one of learning, you should have a lot of resources that you embedded in. You shouldn't only have one PowerPoint notes like this and you expect your online learning delivery happening. Now, if everybody understand here, whoever come here this morning, last semester we do have a lot of complaint from the parents, from the student, that there is a certain lecturers that actually do not provide enough resources for them to learn independently through online. So be careful with that kind of comment. Now, last week, this is just for everyone knowledge. Last week, we had a complaint from one of the student. I cannot reveal the name of the student and also which faculty they are from, but that messages has been read in front of NC and also TNC HEPA. It's in one of the social media belong to UTEM. I guess probably UTEM Confession, or I do not know. But this particular student spell out this particular lecturer's name very explicitly, stating that this lecturer do not deliver the online learning properly as expected. So due to that complaint and due to that comment, PSTP has been instructed to look on each of these online content from each of the course page to make sure that it must fill in the minimum requirement, just like what I show you here. You need the learning outcome for the student to understand what they expected of learning outcome that they need to achieve. The comprehensive note, it doesn't matter where you get it from. Your video, if you don't have the video, probably you have a visual, you have chart that you want to explain to the student, you have your PowerPoint notes, you capture the student understanding through assignment or homework for each of the session, and also there is some feedback or discussion that you are conducting. Now, I know that there is a certain lecturers that actually using external tools to teach the student. For example, using Microsoft Teams. I know like Puan Emaliana, they're using Microsoft Teams and so on. Some lecturer might using Google Classroom. Some lecturers might using other tools that they believe they are more comfortable with. Make sure that every time when you are using all those tools, you must link those tools in each of the section, not link it in this general info. I found out there's a lecturer that actually when they putting their Microsoft team, they link it in general info. No, link each of your session in from the Microsoft team in your topics. Now, as everybody know that each of that session actually can be recorded, so it's pre-recorded. Why not take times to upload your pre-recorded from your Microsoft team or from your WebEx or from your Google Meet or from Zoom into your personal YouTube and link it into this. So at least the student will be able to watch again and again and again all the resources that you're doing it. Now, the other questions that actually always being asked by the lecturers from faculties and others is that compulsory to have synchronized online learning? Now, it's not. So when we're talking about online learning, there's two types. One is synchronized and one is asynchronized. Now, to choose between whether you want to conduct your class synchronized or asynchronized, you must look at different aspects. One of the aspect is you must look at also on the technical capability of your student, right? Do your student have enough internet or data connections or not? If are they using the broadband, home broadband? Are they using mobile hotspot? All those will actually affect the performance of your synchronized online learning delivery. Now, the other part that you need to consider also that each of the student will stay in a different geolocation and they might have difficulty in assessing your online content. So you must give a very good clear indications to the students. Now, my topic is exactly using exactly for each of the topic. I do not change because I want to give the uniformity to the student. Now, some lecturers believe that actually in each topic they will give a flavor into it. No problem to give a flavor as long as each of the content must be filled in. Now, if you look at on my content, as I mentioned earlier, when your class is going to be, let's say this week is week 4, your content for week 4 supposedly already ready in your LMS last week. You sepatutnya tak upload konten you hari ni. Hari ni kelas, pagi ni baru you upload your content. Itu dah salah dah dari segi tafsirannya when you are delivering your online content. So make sure that you must prepare your content a week earlier in advance or at least paling teruk pun 3 days in advance sebelum tarikh sebenarnya. Now, when the class is actually already online, tidak ada orang kata rules. Tidak ada mengatakan bahawa apabila kelas itu online, apabila kelas anda jatuh pada public holiday, contohnya seperti hari Khamis, Maulidur Rasul hari itu, maka you cancel the class. Saya dapat maklumat ini depan-depan saya waktu saya mesyuarat di pejabat TNCA. Ada timbalan pengarah ni, dia kata dia terpaksa cancel the class pada hari tersebut kerana dia attending timbalan Naik Chancellor Academic punya meeting. So, itu adalah salah. When your class is already online, the class will run 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days, anytime, anywhere. You tidak ada privilege untuk cancel the class because of if all your materials is actually online, then you should not have any problem to proceed with your class. The only thing that probably you can cancel if on that particular day you nak buat synchronized class, disebabkan ada mesyuarat, mungkin you kena gantikan your class dalam bentuk pre-recorded ataupun is synchronized. Ya? Itu saja. So ini adalah dalam bentuk tile. Okay, let we go into each of the tile. Macam mana kita nak buat? Macam mana kita nak manoeuvre? Kat mana menu dia? Apa yang berlaku? Now, salah satu dari bentuk tiles ini tadi, soalan yang pertama yang ditanya adalah kenapa saya punya tiles tu tadi bila kita buka dia tak ada bentuk tiles ni, tapi dia dalam bentuk list. Okey, perkara utama kita kena tengok adalah kita kena pergi dekat kita punya course setting. Course setting kita menu dia dekat hujung sini dekat dalam wheels ni. Okey, dekat cog wheel ni ada nama dia edit setting. Setting kat ni ada nama you punya course, ada short course dia, fakulti kat mana, course visibility kita dah show, course started kita dah mula. Okay, you can add you punya course description, course summary if you want. Kalau you tak nak pun tak apa. Di sini, di course format. Kalau kita tengok dekat course format ni, kita menggunakan format mat. Okay, so di sini kita ada color of tiles lah. Kita boleh ubah warnanya lah. Dan di sini tadi, kalau kita nak tengok bagaimana sebenarnya kita nak buatkan di dalam kita punya tiles tadi, subtile kita tadi pun rupanya dalam bentuk tiles. Kita kena tick kat sini. Kalau kita untick, let's say saya untick dan kita patah balik, kita tengok kita punya course page tadi, ini akan di list. Some lecturer mungkin suka dalam bentuk list begini. Then you maintain lah dalam bentuk list, tak jadi masalah. Tetapi some suka dalam bentuk tile seperti yang saya buat tadi. So you pergi map dekat sini ni dan activate you punya use subtiles for activity dekat sini. Yes. Okay. Kalau kita tengok dekat dalam kita punya course ada syarat dia ada progress bar, maksudnya ada 3 out of 5. 3 tu sudah dibuka. Kalau kita tengok dekat dalam ni, 3 sudah ada penanda warna hijau. Maksudnya sudah ada 3, sudah ada orang yang membuka link ni dan sudah membaca dan sudah tengok video dia. Jadi kat situ tak ada progress. 3 out of 5. Maksudnya ada lagi 2 aktiviti dekat sini yang belum lagi completed by the by the user, iaitu discussion dan juga class activity. Jadi macam mana kita nak nampakkan dekat dalam tiles ni bahawa this particular topic ada berapa item dan berapa progress dia yang pun telah dibuat. Jadi progress dia pun sama, berada dekat dalam kita punya course setting. Ini bukannya ni, ini adalah course setting kita dekat edit setting di sini. Dekat course format balik tadi tu, masuk kat course format balik, dekat sini ni dia ada tulis progress on each tile. Dekat progress on each tile ni secara default dia adalah hide. Bila dia hide memang you tak akan jumpa lah benda tu. Tapi kalau contohnya you nak hide, you hide lah. Tetapi kita boleh activate dia. So let's say saya nak activate because saya nak nampak. Saya boleh activatekan dia dalam keadaan 2. Satu based on fraction, satu based on percent in circle. So kalau kita tengok salah satu let's say show in progress of circle. Tadi kita buka dalam tu topik ini sudah lengkap. Sudah dibaca, sudah diakses. Kalau contohnya semua student nanti masuk, dia akan jadi 100% dekat dalam ni. So itu kalau kita nak gunakan persen. Kalau nak gunakan banyak item sudah diakses dan kita tukarkanlah kita punya progress on each tile tadi ke dalam bentuk fraction. Itu sahaja yang kita buat. Alright. So tak ada, itu adalah satulah dekat kalau kita tengok dekat sini saya punya saya ada buat label iaitu learning outcome saya buat satu label, lecture saya buat satu label, lab tutorial saya buat satu label. Secara instructionalnya, inilah sebenarnya kaedah yang paling mudah difahami oleh pelajar. Jadi kenapa kita kena ambil effort untuk buat begini? Jadi sekurang-kurangnya pelajar boleh nampak bahawa ini adalah label untuk learning outcome. Ini adalah section untuk lecture dan ini adalah section untuk lab contohnya. Dan kalau kita tengok saya tidak gunakan page di situ, saya tidak gunakan setting di dalam ni within the setting untuk saya masukkan lecture. Saya gunakan page. Bila saya gunakan page ini sebenarnya adalah untuk kita mengurangkan download time, refresh rate screen pelajar tadi. Kalau kita masukkan contohnya lecture ni, kita letak sepenuh-penuhnya kat sini macam yang saya buat dekat course page saya yang lama tadi, sebenarnya pelajar akan mengambil masa yang lama untuk upload ataupun untuk nampak saya punya course page nanti sebab bandwidth mereka perlahan. Jadi cara saya buat adalah saya kali ini saya buat dalam bentuk pages, iaitu setiap satu ni adalah dalam bentuk page ataupun URL, ya. Dan yang ini adalah dalam bentuk label. Okey, jadi saya nak tunjuk macam mana kita nak buat untuk page ni. Saya akan mulakan dengan page yang kosong lah. Saya akan cuba dengan saya akan cuba gunakan topik 5 contohnya. Kali ni saya akan gunakan topik 5. Saya belum ada bahan lagi dekat topik 5. Jadi saya akan cuba masuk satu persatu macam mana kita nak buat minimum requirement of each session of course page. Okay. So sebelum kita buat, yang pastinya seperti yang semua tahu, kita kena turn editing on lah. Dekat mana dulu turn editing on button ni kita boleh nampak. Sekarang kita ada dekat dalam cogwheel ni, dekat dalam edit setting, dekat bawah tu ada turn editing on. Jadi kita boleh turn editing on kat sini. Yeah. Now before that, kalau kita tengok di sebelah kiri ini adalah masih kita punya navigation yang sama seperti di dalam course page sebelum ni, dan kita administration ni lah. Okay. Setting kat sini pun boleh. Kita turn editing on. Okay. Nampak kosong. Tapi sebenarnya mana kita akan bahan-bahan yang kita sudah masukkan dalam topik 1 tadi. So klik button expand dekat setiap section ni. Macam dekat topik 1 ni ada button expand. Klik expand. Bila kita masukkan di okey. Ini kita buat. Now, sekarang ni kita akan mulakan. Saya nak tunjukkan macam mana kita nak buat satu topik ataupun satu minggu session untuk kita punya online learning. Kalau kita tengok dekat sini, saya nak gunakan topik 5 ataupun mungkin you all gunakan week 5 ataupun mungkin you gunakan session 5, ya. Di sini terpulang pada anda macam mana nak buat, sebab di sini kita boleh ubah kat sini ni. Klik dekat pensel tu, you boleh ubah, you nak tukarkan dia, namakan dia kepada topik ke, nak tukar kepada week ke, nak tukar kepada session, terpulang. Once you dah press return ataupun enter dekat you punya keyboard and you will be able to change. Now, kemudian kita expand kita punya section ni, topik 5. Just buat. Tapi kalau kita tengok di dalam tu outcome yang Encik Azmi iaitu penolong pegawai teknologi maklumat sudah sediakan. Jadi apa yang kita perlu buat adalah kita kena buat learning outcome ni tadi. Ya, jangan ditinggalkan. Each of the topic mesti ada learning outcome. So, kalau kita tengok learning outcome ni adalah dalam bentuk label. Ya, dekat sini ada button edit dekat particular section. So, kita edit dekat section ni. Kita kat sini kalau kita tengok, kita edit setting. Sebab kita nak tengok kita cuba. Ya, dekat sini ini selalu yang tertinggal dekat common module setting ni. At the moment, Encik Azmi hidekan benda ni daripada student sebab dia adalah template. Jadi kalau kita nak gunakan template ni, kita kena show on course page supaya pelajar nanti boleh nampak. So jadi ini adalah label dan ini adalah learning outcome. So tulislah kat sini, by the end of the lesson the student will be able to apa dia. Contohnya kena tulis. Kalau ada tiga lah you tulis. Outcome-nya untuk that particular session atau that particular week ataupun that particular topic. Kena tulis supaya student faham apa sebenarnya learning outcome yang nak dicapai. Okay. Dekat sini kita boleh letak student can manually mark this as a complete activity lah if they want. Kalau tak payah pun tak apa. Dia adalah untuk kita progress untuk letak. Save. Kita akan dapat learning dah keluar dekat topik 5. Now, kita nak pecahkan dekat topik 5 ni kepada dua subkategori, iaitu untuk lecture punya resources dan juga resources atau tutorial resources. Kita buat begitu adalah untuk memudahkan pelajar sebenarnya, bukan untuk memudahkan kita saja. Tetapi sekurang-kurangnya pelajar tadi boleh memahami punya proses of learning tadi. The instructional design-nya betul. Janganlah kita buat benda tu secara cecar merbah. Memang kita boleh buat secara cecar merbah, kita boleh buat sesuka hati kita. Tetapi setiap kali bila kita nak buat course content, kita nak buat course content curation ini, kita jangan fikirkan tentang apa yang kita faham. Kita kena fikirkan tentang bagaimana student tadi boleh memahami flow you punya proses pembelajaran. Itu adalah penting. Yang mana didahulukan mesti didahulukan, yang mana dikemudiankan mesti dikemudiankan. Kita memanglah tentu faham apa yang kita buat sebab kita ni semua profesor madya, kita doktor, kita ada PhD, kita senior lecturers dan kita sudah ada berpuluh dan berbelas tahun pengalaman. Tetapi kita kena ingat pelajar kita yang mungkin nak memasuki kita punya course page ini tadi, mereka baru sahaja ingin mempelajari tentang that particular course, baru nak belajar, baru pula nak orang kata nak mengenali macam mana nak menggunakan kita punya LMS dan sebagainya. Jadi oleh kerana itu, kita kenalah berstruktur. Sama juga macam mana kita pergi ke museum. Kita pergi ke museum, kenapa kita kat museum tu ada seorang pegawai nama dia curator. Curator ini tujuan dia, tugas dia adalah untuk dia curate konten itu tadi supaya kita sebagai pengunjung museum tadi memahami apa artifaknya, maklumatnya kat mana, mana patut dibaca, lightingnya macam mana. Jadi di dalam kita nak bangunkan course di dalam learning management system ini, kita juga mesti menggunakan konsep seperti curator. Sebab tu saya selalu menggunakan perkataan content curation and content creation. Yang pertama, you curate your content, strukturkan dia supaya difahami oleh pelajar. Yang kedua adalah mungkin bila you ada masa, you malas nak curate, you ambil, tapi you nak tambahkan ilmu tu dengan your own, then you must create the content as other people do. So that is very important. Now, how we actually going to create label? Ini kita dah ada label learning outcome. Now we have the learning outcome label. Now we going to create learning a lecture label. So as usual, if you look at down here on each section, you have this add activity and resources. Click on that. If you go in here, okay, label. Add the label. This is the label only. It's not add the naming of. So in this label, okay, I know this is going to be all the resources about the lectures is going to be under this label. So add the size. The size is into medium, right? Make it medium and make it bold. Okay. So check on the common module setting. Make sure the availability must be shown on course page because we want the student to see. Do not add any restrict access, okay, to the student because this one just a label. So save to the course. Tedious. People say, oh, it's so tedious. Kenapa saya nak perlu buat benda-benda macam ni? As I mentioned earlier, instructional design di dalam online learning are very important for you to understand. It's not about you understanding what you do, it's about how your student will understand about what you do. Okay, so itu penting. So ini adalah lecture punya label. Okay, dalam lecture label ni kita boleh duplicate. Kalau kita nak, kita malas nak add activity, kita duplicate. When you are duplicating, ada dua dekat sini. Okay, tetapi yang edit ni kita boleh tukar dia, edit setting, namanya tukar nak bentuk ataupun tutorial. Now you dah label, learning outcome label, lecture label, and also lab and tutorial label. A very basic fundamental that you can do in LMS. Very simple ya. Tak susah. Gunakan label. So I repeat again. Nak buat ni benda ni yang ada penanda biru ni, ada dash biru ni, gunakan label. Okay, now I saw some of the lecturers dia masuk nota ni di dalam label. Jadi bila you masukkan nota di dalam label, nanti you punya nota akan keluar dekat dalam page ni. Maka sebenarnya bila you buat macam tu nanti, your course page nanti akan jadi lambat untuk diakses oleh pelajar kalau internet mereka ataupun bandwidth internet mereka perlahan. Jadi sebab itu kita sorokkan setiap satu konten itu dalam bentuk pages. Ya, kita jadikan dalam bentuk page. Jadi jangan letak nota dekat dalam label ni. Sebab dalam label ni kalau kita tengok perkataan ni place letak gambar, boleh letak macam-macam, tapi nanti apa akan jadi benda yang berat lah sebab pelajar nanti pages. Jadi bila budak buka atau nanti dia akan keluar scroll sampai ke bawah. Imagine kalau benda tu dalam bentuk lab tutorial di mana dekat situ you ada step by step macam yang saya buat last semester. Jadi oleh kerana daripada pengalaman saya yang dulu di mana my student menghadapi masalah untuk accessing my course page sebab my course page tu berat sebab ada banyak video, ada banyak gambar everything semua, maka saya mencadangkan kepada semua untuk memahirkan diri to use what we call it labels and pages. Okay, so that's how you're doing it. Now, once you're done with the labels, we're going to add activity, whether it's going to be your lecture note, whether it's going to be your video URL link, whether it's going to be your PowerPoint notes, whether it's going to be any class activity. Right? So we go one by one. So now what you need to do is to add an activity or resources. I'm going to add page, right? Because I want to add comprehensive note. Okay, so I'm adding page. I'm not going to use label. So I'm adding page. Now I'll add the topic of the page. So topic number 5 is probably about social media practice. Topic. Now you can add description on your course page. The student will be able to read, but you do not have. But I want. I'm fine. Here, actually, I'm adding a bit of notes into here, right? I'm copying the text. I'm bringing page. I'm just adding it into the text here, right? It's like that. Very simple. Anything. I can add, for example, in here and images, for example, about social media. I want to give a bit of colors into that. So what I do is I'm just adding images. I'm taking some of the images. I'm going back to my course page. I'm adding my images in this part. That is size. You can reduce the size if you want. Do not put any description, because if it's not necessary, if you don't this one, they will keep asking you. So at the moment, I have 860 size of pixel. Save. So this is actually the image. Now, after that, I want actually the student to read more about this tag from this simple text from here. Them to read more. So remember, the link that I found this note is from here, from this blog, for example. I'll just take the URL, copy the URL, go back to my course page, and I select the word more, and I click the link, and I adding the in, and you can create link. You can click on open in new windows, where actually it will go to a new window, or actually it will stay within the your course page. Okay, now check all the appearance. Make sure that the now activity of completion is also part of the process that you will be able to monitor if the student completed seeing this note. So you can do this. Show activity as complete when conditions are met. So it means that student must view this activity to complete it. If you want to expect the student to complete within a certain date and time, you can enable the calendar here, because you want the student uh, to complete this activity within a time frame that you give, right? Now, I'm not going to talk about restrict access at the moment. We're going to talk that later on. So save. Once you under the lab and tutorial section, but actually this is actually supposed to be under the lecture section. So remember that cross on each of the page. So you just click and hold and bring it onto the lecture, right? Bring it onto the lecture. Now it will sit under the lecture section. So you have one lectures in that, right? So this is belong to the lecture section or label. So this is your note that you have. Now you want to add more activities, but this time you want a URL video, for example, from your personal YouTube, for example, from your other video resources. You can link to a lot of other things here, but you can link it into your URL. Okay, because you have a YouTube channel and all your videos that you created probably from YouTube channel. So you want to link it into your course page, then you use URL. Add those one and name it. Then can be about topics, right? So I always put in here the name of the video, or you can add the video name. So I always use video 05 because of it's belong to week number 5 or session number 5. And you have your external URL link here. So we will find our URL link. I'm going to go for social media practice. You can find any problem. Right? As I mentioned earlier, when you're creating your content online, it doesn't mean that you have to convert apple to apple. It must convert from apple to become an orange. This is the time that actually you will allow the student to learn more. You're giving them more access into different sources of knowledge. That's the best that you want to do. Now, for example, this top five social media marketing tips to dominate, or you have to search all those videos. For example, what is the best video that you think will be very relevant to this particular topic? For example, okay. So, for example, like this, right? 3 social media trend you need to know in 2020. For example, it's about 10 billion. Copy this video. I go back to my course page. I embed the URL link, right? You can display the description in here. Your appearance is actually automatic, right? Activity of completion, you can set how the student complete. The student must view this activity to complete it, right? And you save your course indicated by green. And this video link actually supposedly sit within the lecture note. Okay, right? So the video in here. So now in this particular section, you will be able to see that the note will be in blue, the video link will be in green, and your PowerPoint notes probably will be in different colors. So we want to add your PowerPoint note, right? So my PowerPoint note. You can add page also, no problem, using exactly the same using page, or you can use file, right? Inside here within this file, I'm using each of this page. You can use file if you want, because you want to embed file in. So let's say we try. So file is actually enable you to provide a file as a course resources. So you can add file. This name it week 5 example, right? And add your content. Anything from here. For example, I'll pick up my notes. Any notes that you have, no problem. Okay, so I'll take that on the PDF format from your lecture note, whatever you have. The best way, actually, your note need to be converted into PDF. That would be the best. Activity of completion, set it. Again, student must view the activity to complete it and save it. Note here and bring it to this page. So now you have lecture notes only, right? This is how you're going to do, right? Now, what we want to add in the tutorial section, you want to have a step-by-step, for example, of your lab session, for example. Let's say you have Adobe Illustrator, for example, right? And you want to having it, okay? Sources online can do it. You can use the link wherever you go. Let's say I want to teach the student about Adobe Illustrator step on step by, right? Here, suitable for your student to let's will I I create page, add your page content if you want. Which is not in the author, so it belong to the authors, right? Remove any which is not necessary. Okay, so testing page, you need to how to is here. Go back to your activity of completion, set that the student must meet the condition to complete this, and save to your call. So this is basically the tutorial which sit under the tutorial step by step. Now you can add more other things, for example, from here. For example, in this lecture, you want to have activity. In the lab tutorial, you also have you need to have an activity. So what you need to do is adding an assignment to the student. So you add the lecture activity. So write the description as what you want from video. What you want the student do? Instructional must be very clear, right? What you want the student, okay? In minutes 2.32, right? The presenter, apa dia kata? The presenter said about in, okay? Discuss, you know? Okay. Now, 3, all the instruction must be very clear when you start creating this, because otherwise the student will not be able to see, the student will not be able to understand what exactly you want the student to know from this activity, right? Okay, always give condition to the student. Okay, so this is how you put the description, and you can it is going to be, so you can set probably do from 3 hours, and you give them around 5 days for them to submit uh, between 23 hours of that particular date, right? So you allow the submission in file. Maximum number of file uploaded is 1 for each of the student. You limit the course upload is 20 megabyte, as we said, and activity completion, set it when the student must submit for this activity to here. If you think you want to give a restriction that this particular lecture note or lecture activity is only meant for a certain group, this is where actually the restrict access is very useful. I already created a group choice for my course page, and I want to restrict that only student from S1 G1 will be able to participate in this class activity. So I add restriction using restriction set. I add restriction group number, this one, for example, FTKEE, right? I the two group that I will be able to let them in, FTKEE both, but not FTKMP student. So student must match any of the following, and I add restriction in here. Probably if I know that I want to open this only tonight, then I will set the date. If not, then I will just set the group. So it means that the other group will not be able to participate in this activity class. Activity is here, so I'll tag it because this activity is only meant for the lecture session. So it's sit here. Now, if you look at it, it's being restricted. When the student roll over, then we only see that only for this particular group of students will be able to participate in this class activity. And you can do exactly the same for the lab session tutorial. Now, you should not put any summative or formative assessment in the section. All the formative and summative assessments supposed to be on your on the here. So you want to this one this actually me this meant for the learning process. They get outcome that I expected they need to get, and also I want to know whether my student participate or not in this particular topic session. This is how actually the process of I'm doing it. This is the minimum requirement for what you want to do. Now, let's say you want to add feedback to overall of your course. You can use any page of lecture or lab tutorial if you want. But if you want to add that the feedback need to be in a different section, you can use label again. I ulang lagi, you use label, add the label, and this more feedback. Specifically, you add a feedback in this particular label. Okay. Big and out for where is going to be any feedback that you want to add because you want to capture the student, or you want to have survey, for example. So you add in this particular part of your section. So you want to add feedback, add. Okay. So availability. So you add where is the availability of this feedback you want it,
Hello,
question,
Dr. Zul.
thing. Yeah.
Hello. Sorry to interrupt. We got 15 minutes more. You can finish off what you want to explain before we go to Q&A.
Sure.
Thank you.
So this is where actually you have the feedback in. So in overall of this one, what you can have is actually the student will have your course page. This is how you manage your page. In week 5, in 5 in this style, not in different the notes in note sections, the activity in different section, the feedback in different section. This is how actually you need to create a basic simple instructional design for your course page. Alright, mungkin sampai situ saja. So far I'm done. So if you have any questions, I can pick up the question. Let me look at the chat.
Okay, Dr. Zul, may I handle the question and answer session?
Sure.
Okay, so Dr. Zul, we've collected some questions for you. The
Okay.
first question is, recently ULearn GUI has changed and used by all staff and students. However, during our MHA session conducted at UTM International Center for international students, they said they are not familiar with the interface. They tried to get the user guide, but written in Malay and understand. So can we have guidelines in English version so we can students?
Okay, actually we're going to have a session with all the students regarding about our ULearn this week, which is on the 13th. But I have to set the time with Puan Jun first, and we have to we have to announce that in under the Facebook of the HEPA. Now the other one is if we are unable to do it on the 13th, then we're going to do it as soon as possible, somewhere around this week still, probably on Friday, right? Afternoon, right? Friday afternoon. Now, for the guideline, actually we are still in developing the English version of the ULearn step by step for the new UI. We can distribute this to the student very soon also.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zul, for that explanation. Okay, the second question is, can you please share how to transfer contents like test and exam from previous semesters to this semester?
Okay, now, the moment with this new UI, what you need to do is actually, if you have your content, you already back up your content from your previous semester in your previous question bank from your previous courses. What you need to do is you need to download those exams, those content, okay, those content, and you need to restore it into your new page of your course. So what you need to do is you need to do your backup first from your content. Okay, so the backup is under your administrative page here, right? If you have a page, make sure that you backup only the question bank, right? So do not include the rest unless if you want to backup the rest of your page, then you tick all the rest of the page. If you just want to backup the question bank, so you just tick the question bank and go to the final stage of your backup and download those particular backup. Is in the MZAC format, right? Now, once you do that, what you need to do is you go to restore, right, of your page, and you need, when you do the restore on, you restore file of your that you backup, and you will go to your exam, the question bank questions. Then you will not be restored the others. The others will be maintained with that. Now, if you can, right, if you can do that, my suggestion is that could you please write, if you think it is quite complicated, right, if it's quite, because it's quite technical, if you think you want to do that, could you please let us know with your name, with your previous courses, name and code, right? And let Encik Azmi to do the restore for you. I think that's probably the best because Encik Azmi will be able to do that for you much easier than you do it yourself, because I'm worried that when you do yourself, then actually you messing around with the rest of you punya course page to the current course page. The best way I suggest is send us an email, whether it's through me or Encik Azmi. Tell us that you want to back up only the question bank from the previous courses. Name your previous courses, give your full name, and you want to restore it into the current course page that you have. I think that's the best, yeah?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zul, for that explanation.
Yep.
So the next question, Zul, is how to configure or how to do the setting for beginning of assessments like quizzes until marks generation.
Okay, now if we go for the quizzes, there are so many type of quizzes that you can generate, right, on your course page. Now, the first thing is do bit of management. The assessment you want to do, is it going to be a multiple choice? Is it going to be true or false? Is it going to be fill in the blank? Is it going to be a short answers? Now, there is a way of how to do it, in different way. Now, if you go to your staff menu, okay, you go to your use. Now, if your question is in the form of multiple choice, there is two type of way of how you're going to construct your question, right? One is using the Microsoft Word format, right? And we provide you with the template how actually you're going to create those questions. And we also give you the sample of the quiz. The other one is actually using just a normal plain text using your notepad, and you save it under .txt. We also give you the sample quiz, and we also give you the format. Now, the first thing that you need to do is like this. Let's say you want to construct a quiz, I save this quiz, right? Now, this is how it looks like. Now, you want to have a multiple choice questions, right? For your quiz or for your midterm, right? This is how you construct your quiz in text format. Make sure that you write exactly the same as I shown here. Each of the questions should not be given any numbers. It should be just a question with the choice of the answers and the answers for those particular question. The format is very simple like this. This is for the multiple choice and also true or false. Okay? Now, once you've done this, right? Once you've done this, probably the simple form, what you need to do is go to your page. You have for example, you have a specific question for your quiz one. You don't want to, you don't want the question bank to have every single question because you want to divide it into different categories. For example, you want to have midterms question to be in a separate folder. You want to have your quiz one to be in separate folder. You want to have your quiz two in a separate folder. Then what you need to do is actually you need to create category first in your question bank just by clicking on based on your default courses. Your default courses is your code of your courses. Name those category of your quiz that you want to bring in or your question you want to bring in. For example, in here, I want to have it in quiz number 2. So this question that I want to import is actually only meant for quiz 2. So I add the category. Automatically, you have the quiz. Once you're done with the category, since you already have your question just now that you developed in Notepad, So what you need to do is you need to import the question. Once you import the question, because of it's in a text format, the format is supposed to be icon. You know, this is all in the manual. You can now where actually you want to import your courses, right? We already create a category just now. So your category is quiz 2. That's the folder that we created, right? Now choose the file, or you can drag your file that you have. This one, open it, upload it, and import. So basically, all these quiz will be imported in folder quiz 2 category, and you need to continue. 11 questions in quiz 2. Now, let's say at any time, each of these quizzes probably, you know, there's a error of the spelling, or probably you want to edit. What you can do is you can go to edit, and you can edit the question, or you can preview the question. Let's say you want to preview it like this, and if you are happy with it, then it should be okay. And if you want to edit, then you edit the question. Okay, so that's how you're doing it. So let's say if you want to edit the question, you add photos, images on the questions, right? After you importing the question, you want, okay, this is figure 1, for example, icon, for example, right? So you want to add, just add to any. Yeah, I have an image here. Okay, let me search an image. Back to your courses. Add the image. So this image can be chart, it can be, you know, equations, or anything that you want. Make it small, because just small. Do not description. Save the image. So your question now already will have an image in here, right? So save changes and continue editing. Oops, sorry. That you are already updating your text. Now, this is just one part of it. Do you want me to show you how actually to create a basic test inside the course page?
Yes,
Dr.
please.
Fairuz, do you? Okay. Now, once you
Yes,
have
please.
this, what you need to do, you go to your course page. On, right? Don't forget that. Turn your editing on. Add activity. Let's say you want to have this at your quiz. Let's say this is quiz number 2. Okay. Quiz 2. Questions, for example. Set the timing of your quiz. You need to enable that. Display description on the course page. Let's say the quiz is going to be today, or the quiz is going to be on 15, and set the date of the quiz. Usually I will do my quiz at night, so it's up to you when you want to do your quiz. It can be any time. So because it's just a quiz, so I'm giving them a very short period of time, which is from 21 to 21. It's only 11 questions, so I give them around 20 minutes to finish the questions. Okay. Then you look at the grade, right? How you're going to categorize the grade? You can use the grade pass, or you can leave it blank, no problem, because it will be auto-generated. Attempt allowed. How many times actually you want your student to be able to do an attempt? If it's unlimited, it means that within the time frame that you give between 21 hours to 21 hours 20, the student will be able to attempt for unlimited numbers of attempts. If you want to give them a single attempt, then you allow them single attempt. If you give them more than one attempt, which is more than one attempt, how are you going to grade the student? Are you going to grade them using the highest grade among the 2 attempts? Are you going to calculate the average between 2 attempts? Or are you going to take only the first attempt still? Or are you going to take the last attempt? So this is the option if you're giving them more than a single attempt. Let's say if you give them more than one attempt, and the grade that is being counted is only the highest grade, then you select the highest grade. For the layout of the question, there's a lot of option here. I always use one question, one page. It means that every question, every page, you can have one page, 2 questions. So the student will have 2 questions in one page, or you can have every question, every single page, and you can have multiple on that. Now, there's a downfall actually if you have more than single page. Let's say you have 11 questions, just now the quiz, and it's all in single page. If anything happened to you learn, then all the marks will be uncountable, right? So the best way is to go by every single question, because the question will be submitted every time when they answer. Now, shuffle within your question. It means that the question will be shuffled, right? Question number 1 can be sit in question number 5. Question number 5 sit within question number 8, and so on. Review of the option. Do you want to give a review to the student? For example, like during the attempt, do you want to give review? Immediately after the attempt, do you want to have marks? Let's say every attempt, the student will see the mark, then you check the mark. Otherwise, you untick. Later, while the quiz is still open, do you give an attempt? So if not, then you just uncheck. After the quiz close, you uncheck if you don't want the student know anything about all those. So better you uncheck. Okay. The appearance, this is just the appearance of the student. So you can add small images, no problem. Extra restriction on attempt. In case you want to give extra restriction on attempt to a particular student, then you can set a key or a code or passcode to that particular student. Then that extra attempt can be given to that particular student. Otherwise, you don't need, right? Now, restrict access, as I did just now. Let's say this quiz is only meant for a certain group. It's not meant for all the group. So you can set restriction using restriction set, and you can add restriction to only a certain group that will be able to see this quiz. For example, FTKMP group, right? So you can do that. And then choose any, because of you don't want the quiz to be open now, right? You want it to be open later, much later on the date, which is here. Look at here. on the 15th, and you don't want the student to be able to sit and attempt, so what you need to do is you add restriction by date and set that the quiz only available on the 15th of November by 21 hours. So the quiz actually will be gray out. Activity of completion, you can set this one. The student only will be counted as completed when, for example, the student received the grade to complete this activity, means that it's automatically being graded, right? So you save the. Now, this is not actually structure of restriction. So this is the restriction of the student. So let's say we want the student to have this final assessment for FTKMP student. This is quiz number 2, right? For this particular student, right? And you want to add the question, just click on this type. Okay, look at here. It tells you that the quiz will be available in 5 days, right? More quiz inside. So now what you need to do is you need to edit the quiz. You want to add the quiz in this. When you want to add the question, you have an option of how you want the question need to be. You need to be shuffled again. Now, in the add button, you can add different type of ways of adding the question. You want to add a new question, you also can. You want to add from the question banks, also can. Or you want to add a random questions, also can. For example, we want to add. Now, there's a difference between this. Adding a new question means you must create your question manually again within the LMS. So there is a type of question here. Multiple choices, true or false, matching, short answer, numerical, essay, calculated, and so on. This all actually a type of quizzes that you can add. The other one is actually you are taking from the question bank. So when you are taking your question from the question bank, you have a lot of question banks that you have here. So for example, like from quiz 2. So all this question is from quiz 2 category, and you can add the quiz. All these quiz can be added in. Right? This is if you're taking from the question bank. If you want to take the question randomly, a random question within the quiz 2. Quiz 2 tadi now you have 11 quiz. Okay? Now, how many random question you want to add in? For example, you want to have 5 random question. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 question, and you can add a random question in the 11 questions that you have from quiz 2. Right? So that's how you embedding in. Okay? Now, I want to add just using a question bank because of I want all the question to be embedded in. I'm taking it from quiz number 2, which is all the 11 question. Okay, and I just add selected. This is all that you have. Save, and you done. Okay, go back to your course page. Of the quiz, yeah. Okay, so the attempt allowed, so you can get the attempt here. You can jump into the view as a student here, how actually the student will be able to see. Now, the question actually is already in, then the student will be able to look at this quiz. When they open the quiz, they will see that the attempt allowed for each of them is only 2 times. The quiz will be closed on Friday, 6 November 2020, for example. And grading method is the highest grading because we give them a 2 attempt, for example. So that's of the. So this is
Okay, I think
yeah.
yeah.
Boleh itu sampai situ. Alright. More? Any other
Okay.
question?
I think that is all the questions inside the chat section. Now I open maybe for one or two more questions from the live or live participants. So if you have any questions, you can unmute your microphone and please go ahead and ask. Any questions? Before I forget, please fill in your attendance form inside the chat section. So I've included a link to your attendance form. So please do remember to fill in.
Okay. Just make sure once we have this, make sure that actually each section must be filled in. Each tile must be filled in, because we don't want nanti space. That's why we divided the content into different section like this or different week, so the student will be able to follow. This is the best so far. This is the best method that actually we guided the student on how actually the learning process throughout 14 weeks is going to happen. But if you start changing this based on your customizations, you changing the topic one to become all the notes here, then the student will not be able to follow the whole topic of particular sessions.
Okay, Dr. Zul, I have one question. Okay, in buku peraturan akademik, buku hijau, semester counted as 16 weeks, including 1 week news break and 1 week study. But in ULearn, it only has 14 weeks, which does not reflect with the buku.
The 14 weeks is actually the full study, right? Tak dikira termasuk dalam 1 minggu sem break. Kalau kita tengok, if you look at it actually, the total of study week is actually the total the total learning is actually 14 weeks. So if you look at your teaching plan, you have how many? You have 15 weeks, right? 16 weeks. That's including your study weeks, including your midterm break weeks. But the actual delivery of the study is 14 weeks.
Okay,
14
clear.
weeks. But
it's clear.
But you can add more if you think. You can add more if you think you have more topics, right? But that's the mandatory is actually 14 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so any more questions on the floor before we end this session? Okay, so if we don't have any questions,
Ada soalan ni. Did University or faculty require us to provide report on ULearn usage for each class? Okay. Kejap saya lupa. Actually I have okay, let me show you a report that actually done by the ketua bahagian today. This is actually we taking this from, let me share. Can I share the file? Check on. That's why we are call it we're going to count. Going to count. What does it mean by meeting the minimum requirement? Meeting the minimum requirement. Okay. This is actually as per request NC and also TNCA. Our target expect is actually on the implementation of percentage ni actually based on element that actually being uploaded. Now, because of the analytic system in LMS is still not that robust, so we unable actually to count the link number that actually you use from the external. We only can count by link, but we are unable actually to identify what external links that actually you use. Overall, actually, for the percentage of implementation and using a proper minimum requirement for content for online delivery is only 56%. Yeah, 56%. So if we go by faculty, we expect actually each of the faculty course page is 100%, but we cannot count by 100% because of there is a certain faculty that actually they are sharing the course page. Yeah, so that's why we're taking that. If you look at PBB, we only have 39% penetration of implementation of ULEARN. IPTK is only 22%, FTKEE 73%, FTKMP is 40%, FKEKK 48%, FKE 28%, FKM 72%, 61% from FKM, and FTMK is 90%, which is another 10% almost, and FPTT is about 68%. This is basically not definite, it's still rough because we're still counting, but this is based on minimum elements that have been uploaded into the ULEARN. So another 10% actually from that is probably reason. One of it because of some of the lecturer using external link. Some of the lecturers they didn't embedded the link into the LMS. Some of the link actually is invisible, so we are unable to detect those. But this 90% can go lower than this if we start counting more rigorously. This is actually we counting by rough of each of the course page. Yeah. So then ULEARN implementation is macam inilah. So the percentage inilah yang kami reportkan kepada that we report to the university so far for this semester lah, Dr. Fairuz and the rest.
Okay, Dr. Zul, thank you. Last
Right.
two questions, Dr. Zul. So can ULEARN generate summary for all the assessments in one single view?
No, because of if you look at the assessment in each of these what you can do is actually you can download each of the assessment under the CSV and then you combine it in Excel. You can do that.
Okay, last question, Dr. Zul.
Yeah.
After the student answer the quiz, how do we know the score?
Okay, now once the student answer the score, actually you can, okay, let me go to the previous page. Last sem, okay, let me go to my, if you look at here, I'm sharing this page, right? Boleh nampak tak? Okay, hold on. I'm sharing my browser. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, this is my previous. For example, I want to see my quiz result, right? From my student. Same, and you can download it as CSV where you can open it in your okay. So oh, this is wrong. This is right. Right. whether it's right, whether it's for each of student. For example, like this student, question number 1 is correct with the marks and everything. Now, if you want to download this result, right, and you want to be able to read it on Excel, you just click down. Okay, just like that. So let's open it in Excel. Okay, let me show you how it looks like in Excel. Or you can document, share content. I'm opening it in my my sheet. Did you see my sheet? Nampak? Boleh nampak tak my sheet?
Boleh.
Okay. So with the student name, you have the ID. You can hide whatever yang tak penting lah. You hide and after that you will have the total marks. This is the total marks here. This is the one that you need to pick up lah from your quiz. Each of this is actually each of the question that the student answered, right? So this is the total mark out of the marks that you set to the student. So this one, what you can do is you copy this and you merge also with other Excel here, right? Add Excel. That's the one. That's it. You need to do.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zul, for answer to the final question.
Yeah. Okay. The only thing, probably one thing is, let's say if your assessment is in the what we call it structured format, essay format, then also actually you can actually grade the student, but you need to grade manually. Okay, we don't have the automatic grade for the essay.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think that would be all for the Q&A session. If you have any further questions, you are free to contact Dr. Zul or PSTP or the committee at FTMK. We will be glad to answer your questions. Okay, so I think that will be all for today's session. Summary, I would like to make a summarization of what Dr. Zisman has presented. First, he has explained the need to change the current UI to better accommodate current requirements of online learning. He has explained the use of blended, so blended has been disabled. So he has explained each sections like assessments, books and resources, and etc. He explained the use of functionalities like groups, external apps like Padlet. He also has issues on proper instructional design. So maybe we can invite further Dr. Zul to have a special session on proper ID, maybe. And then also, he has also explained and given us how to accompany notes for the PowerPoints, the need to accommodate different types of resources for different types of learners, the use of external tools, Microsoft Teams and Google Meets. So if we like to use this type of tools, so we must link that session inside the particular topic, and the use of the progress bar. And also, it's not compulsory to have synchronous learning. So we need the student. Okay, so if the student have difficulty in accessing our content, then it's better for us to have async learning. And then last but not least, the minimum requirements for our ULearn content. We must have our learning outcomes, we must have our notes, our PowerPoint slides, and maybe other resources. And we also must have our activities to capture student understanding and also an added feedback or discussion. So I think that is basically a summarization of what has been covered today. So I think on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to say a big thank you to Dr. Zisman for sharing his knowledge with all of us. hopefully we can use some of knowledge learned today in our teaching and learning and for the whole of this semester. Thank you again. So to close off, let us recite Tasbih Kifara and Surah Al-As. Okay, so I think thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Zulis, to all the participants.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.